Every day I am learning the dark arts of corporate America. TGI, FML, NGL, lol.
What is our current dark purpose?
Man has dreamed of bringing life to a lifeless vessel.
Like Dr. Frankenstein.
I don't know who that is.
From the book and the countless movies.
No, I've never heard of him. What I'm doing is completely original.
Let the conquest of the new world commence.
You'll answer to Lieutenant and you'll like it.
Oh, I like him very much. You have turned our home into Jack the Ripper's recycle bin.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world. Now your hope and compassion is gone. You've sold out your dream to the world. Stay dead, stay dead, stay dead. You're dead and out of this world.
You're listening to the League Podcast Vampire Council. What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, Episode 2, Headhunting. I'm Matt Durson.
Clay Inferno here.
Welcome back. We've been on such a long hiatus since our last episode, which was Episode 1 of Season 6.
Yeah, it was good to talk to you last week about it.
Yeah, man. It's good to shoot the shit again. Yeah, it's been a while. But yeah, so here we are continuing here, picking up right where they left off last episode. Basically, not right where they left off, but yeah, Laszlo is back to being Dr. Cravenworth. It's actually kind of interesting, I because there was parts of previous season where he was like a lawyer, and like now he's like a scientist. He was doing science stuff last season too, with like he had like all those weird animals and everything.
Oh right, yeah.
So I guess when you live a long time, you pick up a lot of different, tools and
and he could be like
trades.
Technically like a medical doctor, like have a doctorate, even an educated one. I mean, it's Laszlo we're talking about here, but like technically he could be a doctor, but like he got his degree in 1885. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, he does say that the reason he started this very experiment, reanimating like a human cadaver, basically, it started during the Civil War when he was drafted. Or he says, "Your Civil War." He was drafted that he wanted this monster to take his place. But he ended up going to the Civil War, and he kind of liked it. He said
he liked the food, and he liked everything.
Yeah, the good camaraderie, I think he said, something like that.
And it should be said, I think he was on the winning side. Let's just put it that way. He was on the union side.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he probably was. I don't think he... But yeah, he met some good chaps.
That's his little montage is like, and when I needed a drummer, and so he shows like
right,
because Matt Berry is a musician. So, but they did show him with like a kind of like a zombie or like Frankenstein monster, like playing the drums behind him, and he's like, and when I needed a judo partner.
Yeah,
like,
and it's just
all
like
these little scenarios,
like flipping a guy with like a Frankenstein head,
and then he says, and then the great piggyback craze of the 1980s because he needed somebody to ride on.
The great piggyback craze. Maybe that was after the Cola Wars. So anyway, so Colin Robinson's going to help him. Again, yeah, as we mentioned last week in our last episode, he's never heard of Dr. Frankenstein. He's like, yeah, all the countless movie adaptations and the books. He's like, never heard of him.
There's a couple of funny little cuts in this. It's like a brain candy joke. It's like my favorite. It's probably on the Tropes website or whatever. But like, they cut in the Medea Reyes of Colin's in the middle of saying something, and it happens later with Tim Heidecker too. They cut to Colin walking into the laboratory, and he goes, "Yeah, technically that does rhyme with orange." But,
yeah.
But they don't say what it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then later, like with Heidecker, it's like, yeah, and then they said I could never go back to that sauna.
Yeah, right.
But it's just like you don't hear the first part of it.
I love
the brain candy where it's like the cops are in the car and the camera slowly pans over and he's like, toast fucking when you fuck or get fucked by toast. Like those are my favorite kinds of jokes, especially I'm not a movie maker, but if I when we reboot Earth and the Firestarter, I'm gonna insist that like we do a joke like that. Because like those are my favorite things. It's like you don't show the first part of the joke. You show like the punchline and it's fucking hilarious if you catch it. But you have to be paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. You definitely have to pay attention to the show because it's almost like The Simpsons. There's so much going on. Like there's like a joke everything. Like there's no wasted, motion or anything like that.
Yeah, I only mention that because that's like it's right up there with train fights as like my favorite things to see like on screen. I love it and it started with brain candy, toast fucking in your fuck or get fucked by toast. Like I was listening on the radio today.
Well, I assumed he was draining like the camera crew by saying because he's not talking to any other.
Oh right, I guess he's talking to the camera crew. I kind of forget like the camera crew was there.
Well, yeah, they make it a point to be there.
Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. That's who he was talking to. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So yeah, he says he's gonna help Laszlo out. He's like, I'll go get my Phillips head. He's like, oh well, great, because my heads are fucked. So if you can get your friend Philip to part with his. Like he's talking about a screwdriver.
Yeah. And Colin's like, I love a weekend build.
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, Guillermo has a new job. He's not working at Panera anymore. He's working at Canon Financial Solutions or something like that. Whatever. It's a corporate job. And he's like, I'm a finance guy now. But I mean, he's working at the mailroom.
Capital. It's Canon Capital.
Canon Capital, thank you.
And it's funny because if you look at the logo, it's a very like Times New Roman on blue. It's kind of like Succession or something, but the logo is just like a chart like that goes up. Like that's all it is. It's like almost like the Iron Mountain logo, like for people that I don't know.
Oh,
what does Iron Mountain do? Is like they shred paper or they store. I don't know what they do.
Well,
but Canon Capital,
get rid of like if you have hard drives and stuff, they'll take those too.
Yeah, but it's just like
I know
it's very cartoony.
If you know, you know.
Logo. If you know, you know. But actually, I thought that was a funny little logo.
I know, and everything about these finance bros. I mean, we'll get there, but like it is hilarious. I feel like every line is perfectly structured to like make them look like complete assholes. It's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so he got a job like through delivering sandwiches. Like from Panera, but he's in the mailroom
because somebody got the wrong sandwich, and he's like, he wanted the papaya lady sandwich, but he got the green goddess sandwich. He says, 2 different sandwiches. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Yeah. So he tells the camera crew, he's like, you can't come in. This is like a real job. You can't
it's like a real job. Go. Yeah, I'll see you later.
I'll see you later. Get out of here. But like, I love it. They work their way in, so it's perfect.
Yeah, like you see Guillermo, like Stacy cracked up a lot because you see Guillermo like he's about to walk in and he's like behind this little pylon and then he like peeks his head out like making sure that they're not following him in, but they are following him in.
Right. And meanwhile we come back to Laszlo and he's got his hand working and the phone is ringing and Nandor's like, his jack-off machine is working. And he's like,
he goes,
why would I make a jack-off machine? I have a perfectly good one over there with a raccoon.
The phone is ringing. Nadja walks in and is like, why does it smell like meat pies in here? Because they have all these dead body parts that he's like electrocuting and stuff. And the phone's ringing. Nandor picks up the phone and he's like, Guillermo? No, Guillermo's not here. He's at work. And he goes, oh, you are Guillermo? Well, now's not a good time.
Yeah.
Could you call back next week?
Talk to you next week or something like that.
Can you call back next week?
Yeah. But yeah, I love that. But like, he's like, it's not a jack-off machine. Why would I build the jack-off machine? I have a perfectly good one over there. He's not like offended that he accused him of that. But I love his like ancient whatever whack-off machine. I don't know what it is, but it's got a raccoon spinning a wheel. And Nando says, good job. Like, I forget the name. The raccoon has like a name. He's like, oh, keep up the good work. Oh my God.
Jordan, it's like Jordan or something.
Good work, Jordan is the name of Tim Heidecker, actually. But he's like, keep up the good work. And like he's like, Colin Robinson, put your finger in the bath. And he's got the the body parts, and he gets shocked like across the room. It was kind of like, it was a little broad for this show, but it was something to show on the commercial.
Yeah, but also they
funny.
have go back and listen to our Frankenstein episode, but they have these like, they're like LED modern What We Do in the Vampires TV show budget versions, but
Yeah.
they have these two gigantic fucking Tesla coils.
Yeah.
And so yeah, make sure Colin Robinson, put your finger in the tank, but don't put your whole hand in there. And that's exactly what Colin does. He sticks his finger in there, and it fucking shoots him way across the room in between the two Tesla coils, and he gets all zapped like a cartoon.
It was very much like a cartoon. So meanwhile, Guillermo comes in and he wants to borrow their iron because he wants to look good for his job tomorrow. He obviously just wants to tell them that he has a job. Like it's obvious. He doesn't need the iron. He wants. Yeah,
Nandor's like, well, you're not that Panera bread. He's very intrigued about this news.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Nadja's like, so your job is collecting irons? Like she doesn't really understand what he's...
Yeah.
He's like, no, I have a very important job. She's like, he's got a big boy, big dick job. She says, she's big time, big boy, big dick job, or something like that.
Yeah, and she's trying to tell Nandor that now after Guillermo goes back to his shed, Jack Shack, with his iron to iron his clothes. I heard about this girl that was a familiar, and then she got a high-paid marketing job in the real world, and then she couldn't handle it, so she went back and like killed all the vampires in her old house. That's what's going to happen. Guillermo's going to kill us.
Yeah, so she wants to make sure he succeeds in his new job. But is that just a cover? That maybe she really just does want him to succeed. I don't know. See, like this is.
But she also has expressed that she wants to be among the worker, but be among people, and she thinks that she can shine in like a 9-to-5 kind of way.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, but this is all
working girl.
Yeah. She looks exactly like working girl later, but
yeah.
But anyway, we'll get there. But yeah, so meanwhile, Colin Robinson and Laszlo, they need a head, and so they go out looking, and Colin Robinson reveals that he is a charter or a 5-star member of all ride sharing. They don't want to say Uber, I suppose, but he just says all ride share, whatever, like companies.
You're skipping around a little bit because Laszlo wants to. He shows Colin an old magazine that's probably he was keeping stored of Rock Hudson.
Yes, that's right. I skipped over that.
He goes. Right. He's like, "This is the head we need. We need to get ahead." Colin's like, "That's Rock Hudson." He's like, "More like Rock Hudson."
I know.
And he's like, "Did someone have the foresight to preserve his head?" And he's like, "No,
probably
definitely not. Yeah, probably not." And he's like, "The reason I'd say to cover the scene is because he goes, we need a hot head from a cool dude."
Yeah, that's right.
Laszlo's just like, it's just like the head's purely decorative. It doesn't matter if he's a cool dude.
Yeah,
but then cut to them where Colin is driving Uber. And he says that he's certified on all rideshare services because it's the best way for him to get, much like an Uber driver or an Uber Eats bicycle rider, which I sympathize with. It's a good way to get quick money. But in Colin's, from his perspective, it's a good way to get a quick, a quick feed, just energy, and especially if you consider, do you ever like end up talking to the Uber driver, and most of the time it's cool, but some of the times it really is energy vampire shit.
No,
it's like, why are you talking to me? I have it in the app, like, don't talk to me.
Oh, really? I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, you can do that.
I feel like it's gotten a little better. Like lately, I haven't had too many conversations with Uber drivers.
Mostly the Uber drivers are already talking on the phone to like their girlfriend.
Yeah. That's kind of like, I'm okay with that. Honestly, at first I was like, that's weird. He should be, working. But now I don't care because I don't want to talk to them most of the time. Now I never do pool. You remember the pool days? Then you get stuck with people. Which is actually what the first guy said. It's like, oh, I didn't sign up for
A group
He
ride.
doesn't call it pool, but yeah.
Yeah, he says like group ride or something.
Yeah. And so they keep throwing these guys out. They're like, I don't like his ears and whatever. Like, get the fuck out. They keep like throwing people out.
Yeah. Then he's like, one guy comes up. All of these are really great, but one of the guys comes up and he goes, and he puts his face up to the window and he's like, ride for Derek. And then Laszlo's like, what's wrong with his face? And he goes like, that guy has like Invisalign or like adult braces.
Yeah. He's like, what? Is that for ride for Derek? Like, he's like, you can hear it in his,
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck
And
is
then,
up in his mouth?
And then, like, he kind of like cut to Colin, and Colin's kind of saying, like, I'd like to, like, if I could literally make a friend, like, I don't have that many friends. I do get lonely and stuff like that. And then one guy gets in and he goes, how do you feel about Goodwill Hunting?
Yeah. Have you ever, did you cry? He said, did you cry during Goodwill Hunting? And the guy says no. And he's like, get the fuck out. How do you like them apples? That's my favorite part.
Yeah, because they've cut away from the car. It's kind of like as they're driving away, like, how do you like them apples? That was probably, there's many great lines this episode. That's the top one for sure.
That's definitely the.
I didn't even catch it the first time, honestly.
Oh, I definitely got it. I definitely found it funnier the second time somehow in the context.
Yeah.
Just kind of, But you're right. Yeah. So this kind of goes back to Jerry not being his friend. I feel like the friend that he thought he had. He's kind of realizing he is alone.
And we haven't, and no spoilers at all. Like, we're not jumping into the third episode at all. We are to, I think, and, just even considering the third episode, we are to consider that Jerry is, like, living with the guide at the Vampire Council because he's, like, really not part of all of this anymore.
Yeah, he's not part of this
He's
episode,
not the fifth roommate or anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So far.
Yeah, he's
he
devoting
could come back
all his time, I guess, to
later. Yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. But yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, so that's, we find out this is why Colin Robinson is helping Laszlo do this so fervently.
Because he wants to, like, he literally says, if I could build a friend.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like build a bear. It's like, meanwhile, the camera crew gets into, they're still at Guillermo's job. So this is Tim Heidecker. He is Jordan. He is the boss or whatever, the president. I don't know what his official title is. But
yeah, I'm a big. We literally in the fandom were either Tim heads or Gregg-heads. Gregg is our friend, our friend Gregg Turkington.
Former neighbor Gregg-head.
No, I'm talking about Gregg Turkington.
But yeah, remember he was on.
But then there's Greg. Then there's Greg. Yeah, there's Gregg-head. But like, so you pick a team, and they're on Cinema Universe. You're either a Tim head or a Gregg-head. And then you have a neighbor Gregg-head, which I completely forgot till just now.
Oh, I didn't. I thought that's what you were getting at.
No, I was talking about how when Gregg Turkington comes to town, we're the guys. We take care of him, right? You're like his merch guy.
We are.
But in their universe of the like on cinema, there's like you're either really root for Tim or you root for Greg. So you call yourself a Gregg-head or a Tim head. And I'm a Tim head, and I had gone up to like go bring our dishes in from dinner into the kitchen, and I come back in like as it comes out of commercial, and I missed like being revealed that Tim Heidecker was on the show. And I was like, when I came in, I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God. And Stacy like doesn't hate Tim Heidecker, but she maybe hates how much I love him. And I was like,
she's not a Tim head.
Look, she's not a Tim head. And I was like, oh my God, Tim Heidecker. And she's like, wait, what? And she didn't recognize him with the glasses.
It's like Superman. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was like Superman. I was like, I'm going to watch it later. Anyways, but
right.
I didn't make her rewind, but she was like, he looks a lot different without glasses.
But it was very cool. So anyway, he comes on though, and he's great. He does a great finance pro guy. But yeah, he's like, hey, we never mind this documentary. We're filming, on I forget. It was some kind of finance type of thing, like some kind of business thing. Like
he just assumed it's not like vampire hypnotism, but those people just assume that that's what it is. Like, oh, hey, everybody. Like, he didn't even talk to them or anything. He's just like, hey, everybody, these guys are filming something for financial stuff.
Yeah.
And what better company than ours? So like, just ignore them, and then that gets it out of the way.
Right. But it's kind of like, because they show Guillermo being kind of like, because the camera crew like wormed their way in, like after he told them to get out.
Right. Yeah, they did. Maybe they did talk to him and say, "Yeah."
I think they did, and they made up this phony, business documentary.
And then they're like, and they have to do the interview with Tim, right? So like,
yeah.
He's sitting there and it's explaining, well, like we're like number one capital, we're really go-getters around here, and like we're actually chasing the Japanese, the Chinese, and South Korean markets. So it makes for some pretty weird hours. So so that explains the vampire thing, and it's total exposition, and I loved it every second.
Yeah,
of it.
I'm here.
Yeah,
for
that
it.
explains it. They have to. Guillermo's got to go to work at night at this place. And...
Yeah, because you got to work when they work. That's what he says. I wouldn't even be surprised if Tim Heidecker is Jordan or whatever is revealed to be a vampire himself. I mean, he's
like remember when Colin was working in the office?
That's right.
He had a girlfriend that was an energy
job.
vampire.
Yeah. It's anything's possible, but he's great. I mean, Tim Head, Gregg-heads. In this instance, he is great. He's hilarious. I love him. And like you said, when he's talking about the camera, he's like, so everybody be on your best behavior, especially you, because there's like a guy he's like, no sleeping on the job or whatever. You know what I mean? Like he's such a pro.
It's
so funny.
Yeah, like a joking kind of way, but like that guy's playing Galaga kind of way.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I just want to mention, I'm not doing a whole like, don't worry, Stacy. Not that you'd ever listen to this. I'm not going on a whole Tim Heidecker thing, but Jeremy Levick and Rajat Suresh are like also part of like his comedy partner team. Like they did this really long. It's an hour and 7 minutes long, complete parody of the Joe Rogan Experience, where like Tim is like Joe Rogan, and those guys. There's like a red hair guy with a little mustache and glasses, and then there's an Indian guy, Rajat, and they're actually producers on the show and writers on the show, and they're part of the office. Like they are actually they're in the cast. They don't have any lines, but yeah, I think he was like, that's Jeremy that he points to. That's like, you over there, like, don't no fucking around on the job or whatever, he's talking to Jeremy, and those guys are absolutely hilarious. And if they're producers on the show, and Kyle I was talking about like Kyle Newcheck from Workaholics, like directed and produced.
He directed these two, I think.
And these guys are top of their game, younger than us, younger like comedy writers. And they're all hilarious. Like I couldn't have been more excited I hope fucking Tim Robinson shows up on this thing. It would be the only way it could even be better, like this season. Like all my comedy like people are here. Like this is awesome. I love this world. Yeah, I mean that's one of the great strengths of the show, is that the guest stars they've had are just always great. They never end, this never ending supply of great guest stars. So Colin, Robinson, and Laszlo, they do find a person that they think will make a good head. But this guy, he's talking about who's into Latin jazz. Bill. Yeah, his name's Bill. Yeah. So they're like, well, we can take care of, they're like, I don't know what this taste in music. And he's like, we can take care of that. Just take an ice pick and wiggle it about. He says, just like the banter, like when he's in the back of the car as a passenger, he's just like espousing about how great Latin jazz is. And you know what? It's more about like community there. There's no such thing as an Irish goodbye at a Latin jazz club. What a funny way to describe it. Sometimes he's like the musicians all hug each other, and then sometimes in the middle of the set, like the musicians, they'll get up and hug random audience members. It's just like this riff. So funny. And the two of them are just like they don't care. But and they kind of pull over and say they tell Bill that they have a flat. Laszlo and Colin are like, yeah, I kind of like this guy's head. And, of course, like Colin is like, I kind of like this guy. He seems really nice. And then like you said, like Laszlo's like, well, I'm not really wild about this Latin jazz thing, but I can take care of that.
Yeah,
And
pick that
he's
part
like,
of
you
his
just
brain.
take an ice pick out, and then they bring Bill out of the back of the car. He goes, well, did you fix the flat? And Colin goes, it's kind of a good news, bad news situation. He goes, all right, well, what is it? Colin says, well, the good news is you don't have to pay for the ride.
Yeah.
And he goes, bad news? And Laszlo has like a
some
table
kind of-
saw, like
Yeah,
like a remote,
saw.
like a Makito, the battery on it. Like, we're going to cut your fucking head off.
Yeah. So that's the end of well, it's not the end of him, but it's the end of that version of him. But yeah, I mean that was a funny scene. But the Latin jazz things comes back, so they were laying the groundwork there. But here's where it gets. So this is what I'm going to say. So Nadja ends up showing up at Canon Capital Solutions or whatever it's called, and like Guillermo sees her, and she's like kind of like lurking around, and so he's talking to Wendy. Actually, like,
yeah,
she's
Jordan's
like, oh, I'll
assistant.
take Jordan's mail. I'm his assistant. And she's very pleasant. This girl Wendy,
and it's
Guillermo's
almost
like,
like if Guillermo wasn't gay, you'd almost think that it was like she
Yeah.
was like flirting with them a little bit, or like they were gonna hook up or something, But she's just being really nice and be like, oh,
yeah,
I started in the mailroom, and
Yeah.
like, and Nadja before had been like her little confessional thing when she's all dressed up like working girl.
exactly like
She was like,
a
I've been
working girl.
working on my on my like regular human person, like her regular human bartender version. And she's like,
exactly.
ever since, she's like, I've been working on it ever since I've switched to medium roast. I just sleep so well. We
I
were
know,
talking about coffee before.
This is what I mean. Like, this is when the show is at its best, I think, when they are trying to fit in, to regular, like, just like the regular human bartender, like, and
Yeah.
this is her
Yeah.
as like the working girl. It's so funny because they fail miserably, but it's great, Yeah.
And I think that also I was to bring the reviewer of this serious show, I think that there's a little bit of, I think that the vampires are lightly hypnotizing anyone they interact with when they're in like a situation like that, so that they don't
Maybe.
question stuff that they see that could be vampiric or out of the ordinary. Like, they're not, because they are fitting in, but I think that they hypnotize them just a little bit so that they don't, almost like a Marvel superpower or something, just like they hypnotize them just enough to be like, oh, this is just, like, who is this lady? Like, I didn't hire her. But,
Right. Well, I mean,
but she's just there.
I'll give you a no prize for that one. That's a good explanation for.
Yeah, that's what I was
why.
thinking. Like,
I almost think it's like a remark or like a shot at corporate America that anyone can just.
oh
walk
yeah,
in.
that's the
You know
other
what I
thing.
mean?
That, yeah,
Like, it's like Kramer, like, was working at that job, and they were like, he didn't even really work there. He just kind of showed up one day, and like that was it. Like, anyway, yeah. So she takes out Wendy. Pretty, like, she actually like levitates her.
yeah. There's a couple of good little. They don't overdo it on the special effects on the show, like in the last episode but they did like human in from, like they do a little bit of, oh, she grabs Wendy and like brings her to the bathroom and drains her.
Yeah.
Like really quick. Like they
Right.
sometimes they don't even show when they kill someone, but like they do. It's just enough. It's just enough.
Exactly. But anyway, yeah. So they're looking around, and maybe she did use a little bit of brain scramblies, because this woman's like, oh, Wendy's gone again, so we're gonna have you sit here, like sit at Jordan's desk. And Guillermo's like, oh, like,
yeah, and that's
okay.
also like cut to the corporate environment too. It's like,
right.
well, she's not here, like, so you immediately move up and just sit here.
Now you're his assistant. Like, that's it. Like, no
don't even
interview, no
look
nothing.
for her or have any idea where she is. She's just not around.
They just said she didn't. She's not here. So I don't know. It's great. Anyway, so meanwhile, we cut back to Colin Robinson and Laszlo, and they use their electricity or whatever, like, to bring the monster to life. They've got their head now, and as soon as they throw the switch, the monster grabs Laszlo by the throat, and he's like, turn it off. And he's like, I can't really hear you. I can't really understand. He's like, like Colin sort of delaying throwing the switch, and he finally does, and the monster goes back to like being
Yeah, he
dead.
like smashes a table, and the next time, like Colin also has this like vampire. You know, we saw him get rejuvenated from a baby, but he also like, you know, he got shot in the foot with the thing. He got electrocuted. He also gets like kind of like thrown into like the dungeon or like something
like
happened.
down
He
the
gets like
stairs or
thrown.
whatever that
Yeah,
is,
yeah. And he says something funny too. He goes, "It hurts worse than it looks."
Yeah, right. It's usually the opposite. But yeah, but anyway, so Laszlo's like, oh, it's too much. It's too powerful. This is why I stopped it in the first place. And he just starts pulling the thing apart. And he just pulls like the feet off and the legs off and everything. He's like, yeah, it's can't do it. It's not meant to be. And he says,
yeah, it's
"Them's
funny
the
because
breaks."
they are kind of like Lego. Like he just is like
Yeah, right.
like pulls off like the foot, pulls off the like lower leg, you know.
Yep. And he just throws it all in like a box. And he's just like, all right, well, that's the end of that. Like, it's so funny. So we go back to Guillermo on the job, and Nandor shows up, and he's the janitor at their office. And like Guillermo sees him, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He says something like, "People love Jandy." Just say hi to Jandy or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he says.
He's doing it such a bad. He's cleaning like up whole things with like the whole roll of paper towel. He's like just using like the whole roll of paper towel.
Yeah, and he's like vacuuming like the ceiling and but well, in this scene in the kitchen, it's really funny, and they cut back to it later because he's like mopping stuff, and then like he's like mopping like just like kind of, it's hard to describe what he's doing, but he's just like using the mop in like an inappropriate way. Just, like,
he's not like, he's just like
knocking the cereal over and stuff.
Yeah.
And then when Nadja walks in, she's like, "Ah, mommy's go juice," and she just like pours the coffee all on the floor.
Pours all on the window or whatever.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, it's spill o'clock." And he goes over and starts cleaning. That was the line I wrote down. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's spill o'clock.
Spill o'clock.
And then Nadja's like, you picked being a janitor? And he's like, why? Yeah. And she's like, well, you just clean up the piss. And she goes, and shit.
Yeah, right. He's like, oh, what do you know? You just clean up the shit and piss. Like he wants to take credit for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love mama's go-go juice. But anyway, so she tells Guillermo that she took care of Wendy, and now he has her job. And at first he's like, Guillermo's like upset, but he's like, well, I mean, it's true.
She whispers to him, he goes, before Guillermo, without me, you're just the cow that carries the corpses to the burn pit. But now you're going to eat with the mayor and his big-teated wife.
Yeah.
And Guillermo's just like, no, leave me alone here. Like, go back to Staten Island. Leave me alone,
I want to do it on my own. And she's like, Meanwhile, Colin Robinson puts the monster back together, and he tells Laszlo that he inspired him. And Laszlo's like, first Oppenheimer, and now Colin Robinson.
Colin is basically like, I just need a little bit of time with them. And it's like, I've learned so much from you, Laszlo. And he goes, I just need some time. And he goes, if it's time, I can't even do it. It's because time
you shall have.
You shall have. And then they cut to Laszlo, and he goes, this is the reason why I stopped doing this. Because you don't know. It could turn into a monster mash.
Yes.
Or worse still, a graveyard smash.
I know.
All the while pretending he doesn't know who Frankenstein is.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah, but he knows the Monster Mash song. Or he doesn't know it. He just
doesn't know, but he's just saying it like because it's part of his vocabulary. Like a monster mash is when this happens, and a graveyard smash is when a monster is in, smashing something around. I'm not prizing here. I'm just saying, like, I was thinking this. Laszlo was just saying it because those are the words he uses.
Those are kinds of words he uses. You already got your no prize for this episode. You don't need to keep going. But anyway, so
more than one no prize. Yeah,
I guess it's true. You can get as many
still
no
have to send
as
John.
warranted.
We still owe. You were supposed to go down to the post office with me because we had like 600. We were going to send to John.
I know. I didn't bother. I didn't go. Yeah. Anyway, so they were talking earlier, the finance bros were talking earlier about this bigwig that's coming. Bellamy, his name was Adrian Bellamy. And they're like, oh, we gotta, really, right. He's like,
he's
Ryan,
the whale.
you're gonna handle this. They call him Rye Dog. Such a stupid. But he's like, yeah, I got it. So anyway, so Nadja comes, she's got Rye Dog locked behind like a door, and she greets this bigwig and she tells him to go up to like conference room A or whatever.
Yeah, on like a different floor.
Yeah. So then Ryan, she uses her powers. She does use powers here to unlock the door. Rye Dog comes out and she's like, oh man, you better get up to conference room B or what, like she sends him to a different room. And he's like, all right. And she's like, you got this, Rye Dog. And he's like, yeah, okay, I got this. And meanwhile, like when he comes out, he yells at like the poor like office. I don't even know what you would call a guy. The guy who's got to like,
he's kind of like a receptionist kind of person. Like he's like, why don't you put the Sudoku down?
Yeah, he's like, pause the Sudoku and get that fixed. And the guy's like,
and not just like, don't get your knickers in a twist. He'll be up there in a minute, But yeah, that's the other thing I was thinking is like, well, however the vampires get around, I guess they could fly in through a window or something. But like, like you literally can't just show up to work like Kramer or whatever, because everybody it's like me at the WeWork. Everybody has like a little fob thing or like a card that gives you access. And he's like complaining about the fob because Nadia's kept the door locked with her powers.
Yeah.
And then he comes in and he's like, oh, this stupid fob.
Stupid fob. So anyway, she goes up to Guillermo and she says, okay, so like Bellamy is in, you have 5 minutes to learn everything about this guy.
Learn everything you
can.
Yeah.
Sweet talk him. He looks at his Instagram. But first we don't know. First he just walks in. It's like, yeah, well, he gives him water. He's like, oh, I don't know where Ryan is, and he's like giving him water. And he says, yeah, I like to stay hydrated.
I love to stay hydrated. Yeah.
Yeah. When I go.
Especially after a long night of clubbing. Yeah.
Yeah. Zero, whatever the name of the club is, I don't know.
Zero Bond.
Zero Bond. Okay.
He's like, he's like, and Adrian is like, oh, you club? He's like, oh yeah, I love Zero Bond.
Yeah.
He really bullshits his way to it because Adrian Bellamy is like talking about these like hot chicks and everything. Yeah. And Guillermo's like, yeah, she's got those really big, because he doesn't care about big.
Right. No, this guy keeps posting every woman like in the comments. It says total smoke show, and then he says something about total smoke show. Like it's such
total smoke show.
So yeah, Guillermo and Adrian Bellamy like totally hit it off, and he's like, Jordan comes in, he's like, hey, how's it going? Where's Ryan? He's like, this guy's gonna be in the meeting, right? It's remind me. You watch Silicon Valley? I'm sure you watch. We talked about.
Oh yeah, right? Silicon Valley and Succession.
The guy is like, whenever he saw Jared, he's like, this guy fucks. This guy reminds me of that guy.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Jordan's just like, yeah, sure, whatever you want, you're in. Yeah. Come on.
Thanks. So just like that, yeah, he gets promoted just like that. He's like, oh, we gotta, and yeah, this is the scene where you were talking about. He comes out, he's like, yeah, so I'm not allowed back in that sauna or something like that,
Yeah, it's just like, bros. Yeah, then he's like, yeah, so I'll never be allowed in that sauna again. But anyways, and then he's like, I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow to follow up, but we gotta get you out. Then he says, we gotta get you out to the island. Yeah. Like they have a private island somewhere where they like golf or whatever, you know what I mean? Gotta get you out to the island. And then he goes,
he's like, as long as this guy's coming, G-Man. He calls him G-Man.
Yeah, they like fist bump or whatever.
Do the fist bump with the fly-away, and everything.
Then Jordan's like, kind of like, what's your name, son? Guillermo. Yeah. He's like, Guillermo, good work. Yeah. He's like, good job.
Yeah, Ryan is out. Like, you're Ryan now. Like, you're
where is that? Where even is that guy?
Yeah, and she goes up, and like Nadja has drained him, but he's just face down on the table, and he's like, oh yeah, he's been hitting the Adderall. He says he's been going hard on the Adderall.
I wouldn't be surprised if some of this is like, I'm not saying that like Heidecker's like comedic genius, but that seems like something that he would say. You know what I mean? Like what kind of improv they do on this show. It's not. I know we're not on a Curbcast where they improvise the whole thing, but it's a very funny line.
Yeah, no, it is. I love. I mean, it would be perfect. I mean, those are his writers apparently too. So who knows? So like they're like, all right, and Nadja says, "Oh, I'll take care of him. I'll get rid of him. Like I'll fire him." But really, she's going to.
So from his perspective, he's like, "Oh, you'll get rid of him? Okay, well, just go easy on him. He's getting married in a couple weeks."
Yeah, he's.
Guillermo's kind of like, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but you'll take care of it. And then he like kind of like looks at the camera crew. He's like, "I like her."
Yeah, he's like, I like you. Yeah, he doesn't even know who she is. He's like, all right, I like you. But meanwhile, like there's like blood all over the like when she picks up his arm.
Yeah, there's no blood when Tim Heidecker's standing there, but when he walks away and it's just Guillermo and Nadja, like he is starting to bleed, and he's like, "Oh my God, like what's wrong with you? Like, do you know how hard it is to get blood out of unsealed marble, which he's probably had to do for them in the past?" And it's really hilarious. The funniest thing is because the blood is just everywhere. He's using Ryan's sleeves to like mop it up, but it's like just moving it around. You know what I mean? Like when you try to mop something up, or you're just making the mess worse. It's so funny.
And she's like, "Hello, I didn't hear a thank you or whatever." She's like, "I'm not hearing a thank you." And then they show like they do a face to face with Guillermo. He's like, "I guess I'll let them stay as long as they don't create any more problems."
Because at one point Jordan says like, "You're an analyst now," so like she's getting rid of Wendy and Ryan, and Guillermo's just taking both of their jobs. Like, "You're an analyst now. You have his job now." And then he has his little thing, and in the background, I don't know if you noticed, but I did.
Oh, I noticed.
But Nandor brings Ryan out like in a clear plastic trash bag, dumps it in a big thing, and then like I didn't notice the first time I watched it, but the second time I did, I was like, "Oh, there's Nandor in the background." I didn't know what he was doing, but he's disposing. He's like, "Bye, Ryan."
He's like, "Bye, Ryan." It's so great. So, but I mean, it seems like Nadja's going to hang around too, I feel like, right? I mean, this is what she wanted. She says that, like, I don't even remember what she said. She said something about like getting her piece of the pie and then getting a little more or something like that.
I'm going to get some and then get a little more. And then, like Guillermo has a funny little like moment in his confessional thing where he's like, "It seems kind of familiar." Familiar.
Yes. Familiar. Yeah.
He's very pleased with himself. As like he is, he always is pleased with himself. Even when the guy like hires him, he's like, "You work for Panera?" And he goes, "Yep, Panera." And he like points to his little name tag. "Yep, that's where I work." He's proud of what he's doing and whatever. And then I could make $3 more an hour. So like at Panera, he's probably making $17 an hour. Right. At this place in the mailroom, he's making 20, and he's so psyched. And he gives the guy a big hug. $3
an
hour.
15 years, it didn't make any money, so I guess it's it's a step up. It is. I'm excited for if this is where the season is going. I'm very excited to see this sort of the office stuff going on, but so I'm here for it.
Or you don't know after resets if they even go back there.
It's true.
That's like kind of the cool thing about the show is like you don't know what they're going to return to, that they won't.
That's true. They could never go back. They could just be it, like, "Oh, I got fired," or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the company went out of business, or you know what I mean? I feel like they would put the whole place out of business or something like that.
Or like not even no prize, but like in our Vampire Council predictions, like you said, like about Tim being a vampire, maybe there's something bigger to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You never know. That's the great thing. But meanwhile, so we have one final scene here where Colin shows Laszlo his monster, his completed monster. He's nice. He's relaxed. He's not, he's not destroying everything. And he says, "Here," and he gives him like a mouse. He's like, "You're not gonna crush the mouse." And then
Laszlo's like, "Oh, it's getting serious now," because he pulls the mouse out of like a glass jar.
Yeah.
And Laszlo's very intrigued, like smoking his pipe.
Yeah. But he does it, and he's like, "Well done, Colin Robinson." And he clapped. He's like, "Oh, don't you do that?" Because he would crush the mouse. So yeah, Laszlo walks away. They cut back, and the mouse. He's like eating the mouse, and he's like, "No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that." And he just goes.
Yeah, he's like
"Now go pick
treating
it
him
up."
like a dog. He's like,
Yeah,
no, monster. Like, we're
I
not
know.
gonna eat the mouse.
And I love it. He eats the mouse, and he's like, "All right, well, you can have that mouse as a treat, but we're not gonna make a habit out of this."
Yeah. It's funny too. He says, monster can have that mouse as a treat.
But then I love it. He puts on this sort of Latin jazz music, and the two of them just dance over the credits. It's a great way to end. It's a classic ending to this. The monster doesn't dance great, but neither does Colin Robinson, so it's perfect. But he had that Latin jazz thing in him.
Yeah,
so.
he's like, I wanted to meet the monster to where he's at, because he said, Colin's like, I've got an advantage over the big guy. I have patience.
Yes,
Laszlo
patience.
has no patience.
Yeah. So that's great ending. This was this episode was tremendous.
I wonder if when Colin was saying like, I've just learned so much from you in the lab here, and he's buttering up Laszlo. I honestly wonder, like, does he really mean that, or does he know that he's like he can manipulate Laszlo if he like compliments him?
I feel like he was just buttering him up. Yeah, like just to get it on his good side in a way. To be like, I learned so much from you. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
They are best buddies, those guys.
Right. They have the best chemistry and everything, and
yeah, for like friends in the house. Like, yeah,
right.
Colin says he has no friends, but Laszlo's his friend.
Well, there were some great moments between when he was baby Colin Robinson and stuff. They were awesome.
Right.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, if Monster comes back, if Jordan comes back, if whatever.
Jerry comes back.
Jerry, well, yeah, we'll see Jerry, I think.
Yeah, because we certainly will. I mean, and also like the guide should be like a series regular. Like, she wasn't always on every episode, but I almost feel like she was in there. I think she was in every episode last season, though.
Yeah, I mean, most of them at least.
Yeah, most of them.
Yeah, I think we'll see the guide. We'll see everybody. I'm looking forward to it. So, but this episode, like I said,
we got the neighbors to look forward to.
Oh, that's right, Laz. I love that.
Yeah.
So we will see. But like I said, I love it when they're in the real world. You know what I mean? Like, Nandor was. Remember, he was doing like his workout thing or whatever, and then we had.
Yeah.
We had obviously
and when they
Jackie
went to
Daytona.
Jackie Daytona, when they think like maybe first season when they had to go to like the real city council, they were like feeding off of them, like them having to like interact with their neighbors on Staten Island, and they used to do that a lot. Like in the beginning of the show, like they would be out like either like feeding in the park, like just walking around outside in the park, Yeah,
they don't.
First episode.
Yeah, I think last season they kind of got away from it a little, but looks like they're getting back. So I'm excited. Definitely check out all of our Vampire Council episodes. Check out our Vampire Council Facebook group. And if you go to Vamp Council, vampcouncil.com, you can check out all of our Vampire Council, What We Do in the Shadow episodes right there, all in one place.
That's right. And they say in advertising, you have to say things 3 times for people to remember. So vampcouncil.com. And if you search for Vampire Council, it says League of Ordinary Gentlemen or League Podcast Vampire Council. There's a couple of different groups, but please join our group. We'll give you a vampire name. You want to talk to us. You want to be a bat featured at the end of the episode. bat@vampcouncil.com. Send in a recording. Send in a note. I mean, we never get any email from the podcast we release. So just to say hello is a recognition that we're here for you. And we love doing this show. And it's so fun. And the show is fun. And it's sad that it's ending. But I was thinking in like the British way where that, like think of Sherlock. How great is the Sherlock TV show? It didn't go on forever. There's not even that many episodes. But I'm kind of... My 2024 Clay likes when something ends on a high note and it just fucking ends. Yep. And they're not dragging it out. This series could easily be and I mean this in a complimentary way, it easily could do Always Sunny in Philadelphia
Right.
run. You know what I mean? And that's a great show that I don't know that people are like, oh, it got shitty at this season or whatever. It's just always consistent. But if these guys just lock it in for these 6 seasons, I'm honestly, I'm happy. It's fine.
There have been definitely a few shows that I feel like went on a season too long. Like, you know, I don't know if I don't want to rag on other shows here, but we just finished watching Umbrella Academy. I don't know if you ever watched it.
Right. Yeah, no, we finished watching that too. I think that one was a little long in the tooth. That last season was.
Yeah, that last season
wasn't
was
as good
rough.
as the other ones. And I didn't even really know what was going on most of the time.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, I asked Rachel, like, did I fall asleep during some of these? Like, I completely got lost. But it was also because I wasn't that interested. And when we watched that last episode, I was happy. I was like, oh, I'm glad to be done with that. Like, the last season was bad. So
yeah, I was like confusing it. I was like confusing it with the comic book Watchmen. I was like, is the squid like can it kill everybody? Like I was like, what's going on here? Like I was just like, oh, it's over. Okay, good.
Yeah, it ended so it was so like overwrought and just overly dramatic, and
it was to coin a phrase, it was like an emo show.
Yeah.
And the guy is in an emo band, right? He's the guy from Fall Out Boy, isn't it?
That's right. No, My Chemical Romance.
My Chemical Romance, that's the one.
Yes.
But that other guy from Fall Out Boy, Joe Trowan's writing comics with Brian Posehn right now, actually.
Oh, very good.
But the first couple seasons of that were really fun, and I have a couple of the graphic novels. Like I've read like a couple volumes of it. It's a good comic. It's a good series. Like I like the characters. Like it was fine. But honestly, that last season wasn't great. It went on too long. It should have just ended. Yeah,
it just went on too long, and it wasn't. I feel like they lost what the show is really about, and I don't think it's going to happen here. I think they're ending
definitely not
on a good note, on a high note, like you said. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this season goes. So far, so good. So I'm not worried. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, check out all those things. VampCouncil.com for the 4th time, I guess. And also check us out on YouTube, LeaguePodcast.com, Facebook, Instagram. We're just League Podcasts. So, but also
easy
for
to
this,
find us.
Vamp Council. Yes, easy to find us. But thanks for listening. You want to count it down?
Are you ready to go? I'm going to count it down. 3, 2, 1.
That's my favorite part. The wing noise.
I think we did the wing noise in the last one.
Yeah.
Did you?
No, I didn't do it. I didn't do the wing noise.
No. Well, I can take this one. I'm going to cut it into the other one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't want you to overwork yourself editing it.
It's one of the hardest guitar pieces in the world to play.